Get started. Good morning. Welcome. So this session will be of two parts. The first part, I will report out from a workshop that was done, looking at the opportunities and drivers, barriers and challenges. We had almost 14 different companies participate in this workshop early this year. And these companies are also meeting regularly over the next many weeks. But this is a report out of a snapshot in time. The second part of the presentation will be Steve Helvie. One of the outcomes of this workshop, there are many outcomes, but one important, very important outcome, and we're excited about, is the Open Chiplet Marketplace. Steve is leading this effort, and he will cover more of that. So I think I mentioned this quickly, my background. I have been in the industry for 30 years, been mostly a product management at servers at Dell. Incubated the AI and ML projects at Dell Technologies, and then did some business development. Before that, I have 13 years of experience at Intel in a semiconductor roles, and hence my interest and passion for this chiplet space. So there are many vendors today that are offering some flavors of multi-chip packages and multi-chip modules. And these vendors are also working with partners. They recognize the challenges of big, large monolithic dies with low yields and large costs, and have been slicing up their monolithic dies into smaller chips. And these span a whole range of CPUs and GPUs. Oh, there you go. CPUs, GPUs, FPGAs, switches, ASICs, and also we are seeing some of them working with partners, and some of them are working with host bus memories. So the question becomes, what's next? Can this be extended out to a larger, broader ecosystem? So if you see, we already covered one, which is like single vendor solutions and some dual vendor solutions. But what we see today is that one single vendor is eventually responsible for the product, end-to-end product. And so they can focus, they may or may not use standards, they may use proprietary solutions. They have a good grasp of the market, and hence they can do the investments and the rewards from those investments. So the focus of this workshop was basically part 3. Okay. What does it take to have a broader ecosystems where you can have many chiplets plug into many places, and a lot of coordination has to be done beforehand, and do some then so that you can have some plug and play later on. And this is kind of visualization of how this open systems will work. So we will have chiplet vendors, IP providers, EDA tool vendors, manufacturing. We need support from manufacturing and assembly testing, system packaging, and also software vendors to extract the best out of these new packaged chiplets. And then this gives us an opportunity to go and solve many complex problems in HPC AI, aerospace, defense, telecom, consumer electronics, and automobiles. And this is a situation where maybe many of the leading vendors, single vendors, which are like, will not be able to do it on their own. So if you have a collaboration of vendors, they can come in and solve much more of these complex problems. And you can have like two models that are shown in the middle, right? We can have a partner ecosystems where maybe like a few vendors come together in a partnership approach and build this ecosystem to serve a market or a niche of a market. Or a marketplace, which is what I think Steve is going to be teeing up, which we already launched, and that is something he'll be teeing up. So the benefits are very clear, so I'm just going to hit the key points out here. Clearly, the smaller chiplets will give yield advantage. Smaller chiplets means smaller dies, higher yields. There's a design cost advantage. You can reuse, mix and match, reuse some chiplets from older nodes. You've got much more competition that gives you the design cost advantages. And you also have time to market advantages so that you only can focus on the core. Like some vendors can focus on some core chiplets and then reuse some from prior other vendors. And the market, the opportunity is basically quite good, quite big. According to one market analyst, Yole Intelligence, the total market size. Now, this is all the kind of systems, the end systems, the components, the electronic equipment, and manufacturing. All of them sort of some way touched by multi-chip designs is like almost 100 billion, growing fast. And even if you extract out the components part of it, the CPUs and GPUs, as per second analyst, market.us, that itself could be like $9 billion in a couple of years. So the opportunity is there. The question is how we go and build on it. So this workshop, coming to the workshop, this workshop had like 14 participants and more. But these are the big ones out there. And we met over 2 days and discussed all of these opportunities, challenges, and barriers. And as you can see, there's a good cross-section of IP vendors, chiplet vendors, tools and EDA vendors, as well as some manufacturing and testing providers. So again, I'm going to hit the key points. Essentially, there are like 6 big things that came out. I'm showing the first 3 out here, and I'll show the next 3 in the next slide. It is very clear, critically about, first one was the big one that came out was all about the interoperability. So obviously, when you have multiple chiplets, they need to work together. So you need to define the link layer and the protocol layer need to be well defined. We have to drive more universal solutions at a higher level of abstraction. So there are some kind of details of this and also some next steps that are happening out here, how to build up some reference designs. And by the way, all the outcomes of these workshops are being worked on, I think, as Jawad and Anu showed up early on. So the multiple work streams going on and solving these things. Second one is standards. So how do we kind of standardize? Is there a potential for standardizing form factors, SoC construction, testing? A lot of these are not defined yet. And so we need to go define those things. And especially, like I think something is going on is about chiplet design exchange for chiplet collaterals that's going on. Third one is business model and product planning, the third challenge. How in an environment we have multiple vendors playing, how do you share the trade secrets and how do you share the IPs? And how do you design, how do you find the right market opportunities and do the right design choices and the discovery of partners? And specific to going to discovery of partners, at least one step that we have addressed is the marketplace, which we'll be talking about next. But clearly, we could have other options where we have multiple kind of partnership ecosystems going and solving some market areas. Quality is a big thing. So now you have got vendors either in a kind of, how do you kind of ensure the quality of the chiplets that are being provided to some downstream partner. And so a lot of discussion around known good dies, design for testability, and built-in self-test for these chiplets. And if you have IP transfer, what is the acceptance testing and acceptance testing standards? Supply chain will be a big issue, supply chain security and inventory management. And lastly will be the cost structure. So when you have like advanced packaging, that can be expensive. How do you also monetize the chiplets? So that is another area that is being discussed. In terms of, just a quick flash through in terms of what are the big things that resonated overall. These are 6 things that I mentioned. The interoperability and standards ranked high in the workshop. And supply chain and cost structure was ranking low, but doesn't mean it's like not important, but that's how the kind of pulse was in the discussions. Again, I'm just going to quickly hit on the couple of go-to-market. The workshop also discussed this. And essentially, you can have, so on the left is the single vendor model. So they own everything, right? And when you go to multi-vendor model, you can either buy or sell through a partnership that I mentioned before, or you can go to a marketplace. So the workshop discussed the pros and cons over 7 attributes that I've listed out here. And in the next slide, I'm going to show the first 4 attributes. So in terms of the competitive technology, the rightmost, which has a multiple vendors open ecosystem, is where you have much more competition. Like obviously, that's what you would expect. And the design, but then the design flexibility is much more favorable for the single vendor because they own pretty much all components of that chip. The initial development cost will be higher for a single vendor. But and for in a multi-vendor solution, the initial development cost kind of drops off because you can leverage the designs over multiple designs or with multiple partners. Product cost is the lowest for the single vendor, where in the multi-vendor solutions, you have like higher product costs because you need to figure out how to build the margins in upfront. And then this is where I think the single vendor model is still kind of favorable, and these are some things that have been resolved in open ecosystem, chiplet economy, the confidential disclosures, support and trust, and failure accountability. And so, based on all of these workshops, we already had some accomplishments. We have a very good white paper. I dropped the link in there. Please go and check it out. We're also working on a video series. So we got like 10 professionals from the industry building 10 minutes video each for a total of an hour. So that will be released most likely end of this year. So people who are like new to the space, they can read up the white paper and watch our videos. And then this is the third big accomplishment, which is what Steve is going to talk about. As you can see, we have launched the Open Chiplet marketplace. And essentially, the call to action is a lot of problems to solve. So please, I think as Anu mentioned, please join these work streams. And with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Steve.
Great. Thank you.
I'm going to flash up Steve's slide. So 1 second. Okay, I want to just hit.
Raghu?
Yeah, sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. The work that's been done in the projects over the last 2 years has been quite substantial. And so we thought, based on all of the work that's been done, we thought now is the right time to launch the Open Chiplet Economy marketplace. And what's our vision for that is to be the front door to this economy. If you go to the OCP marketplace, you'll see a dedicated section for chiplets. And there's a couple things that we want to do with this. We want to be able to have companies and third-party chiplet vendors be able to choose partnerships or from a series of catalogs or EDA tool vendors or IP block vendors developing their own systems and package. There's a couple things that's different about this marketplace as opposed to the balance of the marketplace that you see on OCP. One is we know that this market is new. So in many cases, we will list solutions that are not yet in market, that are forecasted 6, 12 months down the road. So we can work with you on that. And you'll see not only vendors in these particular categories, but we also want to make it easier to find the great work that's been done in the project. So you'll see ways to quickly access specifications, both OCP and non-OCP. And you'll see ways to access recordings from webinars and the white papers. So we really do want this to be a one-stop shop as a way to get this conversation started. So we've done a couple things on the program. One, as I mentioned, that we will allow things that are not yet in market. We want to broadcast partnership opportunities. The second is, the only requirement is to be an OCP member. The balance of the program does have traditional requirements for other products, but on chiplets, we've relaxed those requirements for the coming year in order to seed this market and to get it moving. It's just a quick snapshot of the companies that are already participating. Some of these are just on the spec level, and the others have products that are listed in the marketplace itself. In the marketplace as well is the OCP Experience Center dedicated to chiplets. And the LBL is the first one of its kind. We held an event there a couple months ago, and we will be doing this on a periodic basis. So the goal is you can go to the marketplace, you can register your interest, and then on a quarterly basis or every 4, 5, 6 months, we will be hosting a chiplet workshop in their Experience Center there. And I invite any of the other companies around the world, if you have a similar desire, we can work with you to stand up your own chiplet OCP Experience Center. So far, we did a soft launch beginning of August. So it's been up around 60 days or so. I like the initial traction. It's around 600 views in this particular section just in 2 months. We have 46 listings. You can see the numbers here. The top countries I thought was interesting. It's not that much different than the balance of our marketplace. However, the Germany and Japan numbers are higher than the balance in the marketplace. The bottom three there I grouped together because the numbers were really, really close. Taiwan, UK, and South Korea. On the right, you'll see the top three things that were looked at in the first 2 months. The folks from AlphaWave and ARM that were just up here, Acronix, and that HBI spec. All right, so last thing, reach out to me if you have anything to do with chiplets. I'd love to figure out if we don't have a category now that you saw up there, these are the types of things we want to discuss about maybe how can we profile your solutions. And again, the requirements have been relaxed for the year as we seed the market, and please view the marketplace and provide feedback as we build it out. The next version of the Open Chiplet Economy marketplace will probably be a bit more dedicated. It may have its own dedicated page, so we're working on that in addition to the training modules that are coming up that Raghu mentioned earlier. And that is it. Thank you all.